Hi folks, and today we're going to talk about the long run and making sure that you are getting the most you can out of your long run, because the long run is probably the workout of most weeks. For really any race distance from about 3K on up, the long run is just very foundational. Now we're talking about long runs that are your plain vanilla long run where you get out for a long period of time and you're generally running at a nice easy pace. There's other types of long runs, but we're talking about those aerobic long runs that we do a lot of. So first let's take a look and say, well, why do we do long runs? Well, we do it to improve your fat burning abilities. Why do we do that? Because you can see I got 3.5. Fat has 3.5 times as much energy as sugar does, or glycogen. So we want to use fat as much as we can because we really get a lot of bang for the buck. So we're trying to improve our fat burning. We're also trying to enlarge our glycogen stores, create the ability to hold more glycogen, which is sugar in the muscles for all practical purposes. We're trying to acclimate the body to the relative pounding of being on your feet for that long. And there's some mental durability, especially for the marathon, with really pushing through with those distances. Now you can see I've got an asterisk by the pounding on the feet and the mental durability. That's because as long as you do the long run, you're going to get those things. There's not much that you can do wrong with those, I guess, short of riding a bike or doing skates rather than running. But the other two, improving the fat burning and making sure that we're enlarging those glycogen stores, those are things that you want to make sure that you're doing that'll make those happen. So first of all, we're going to talk about some mistakes that you might make, or really the success factors in making sure that you're getting all the benefits. So first of all, running too fast, probably far and away the most common error. Everybody says, well, if I want to run my race at X pace, I can't run these long runs at this slower pace. Yes, you can. Running too fast is a big mistake. So why is that? Fat burning requires oxygen. That's why it's called aerobic. Aerobic means with oxygen. If that oxygen isn't present, you're not able to effectively burn fat. So you can go ahead and run faster, but you're not going to get good at using fat as a fuel source, and fat has 3.5 times the energy of sugar. So make sure your long runs are done at that nice conversational pace. You want to get really good at using fat as an energy system. The next thing I said is you want to enlarge your glycogen stores. Maybe this isn't the best example, but I try to do two bowls here. You've got a small bowl to hold all your glycogen. In your case, it's in your muscles. You want to make that bigger. And actually, with the long run, we have the ability to create more storage space for glycogen. Why is that important? Because in your race, you're going to use both fat and glycogen. So we might as well get more glycogen if we can, because it's going to allow you to run faster for longer than if not. So we want to try and get that bowl a little bit bigger. So what could we do to make sure that we are making that happen? So first of all, a lot of times people are over-fueling during the run. And you don't want to do that. Now, people, I got to take fuel. So certainly, you need to practice your fueling, in particular for a marathon. I'm not saying that you should never take any fuel. But I'm telling you, for a lot of your long runs, you want to go with minimal fuel and gels. And if you've been doing that a lot, using gels all the time, you might need to wean yourself off of that. But keeping that glycogen constantly topped off during your run is not going to create the adaptation where we get more, because one of the ways we get more is by depleting what you have in there. We don't deplete down to nothing, obviously, but by reducing that amount. And then there are things that we can do that will cause your body to say, I want to make my bowl bigger so that I can have a little bit more of this. Now, if you're going to be out there for a very long run, say, a couple of hours, you for sure want to have some sport drink, even though there's carbohydrate in there, because you've got to get those electrolytes in there. Hydration, water is certainly still important. And again, I'm not saying that you don't ever take a gel, but I'm saying too many people, they really over-fuel on their long runs, and that's counterproductive to making your glycogen stores larger. The next thing they do is they miss the window of opportunity. So what we're trying to do in that long run's 90 minutes and longer, is really hit those glycogen stores hard, making sure we're not overfueled so that your body wants to build those up quicker. And to do that, you've probably heard this before, there's two windows. One is 30 minutes and one is 2 hours. Your body is most receptive to taking the carbohydrates, the fuel that you will take in, and replenishing it in those muscles. The first 30 minutes is really high, and there's this curve with how receptive it is. And after about 2 hours, it's no more receptive than it is any other time. So getting properly refueled during that 30-minute phase and that 2-hour phase is going to help you enlarge your glycogen stores so that you can carry more energy when you do your race. Here's how that looks. So first of all, you've got to make sure you're hydrating, because if you're not hydrating, you really can't do anything. So ideally, you would drink something within the first 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be drinking something, but you want about 0.25 to 1/2 gram of carbohydrate per pound of body weight. And you want to get some protein with that as well. Usually they talk about having a 4-to-1 ratio, 4 grams of carbs for every gram of carbohydrate, but you want protein in there as well to begin repairing any of the stress caused your muscles. So when you can, in that first 30 minutes, ideally drink, because it gets into the system faster. It doesn't have to be 0.25 to 1/2 gram carbohydrate per pound of body weight and some protein. Your goal then is within the 2 hours, and the faster the better, you want to get about 1 gram of carbohydrate per pound of body weight. You also want to make sure you have some protein in there as well. If you can get that within the first hour, that's great. Try and get it sooner is better, because after 2 hours, it pretty much levels off and there's no longer an advantage. So make sure that you're not overfueling. Make sure that you're getting refueled promptly after your long run. Those are going to help you your body learn to carry more glycogen, more energy for your run. Because as I said, the bedrock run is in fact the long run. So if we're going to be out there for 90, 2 hours, 2.5, 3 hours, let's make sure we're getting our bang for the buck.